Bring in Communications Director for the Republican National Committee, Sean Spicer. I'm going to start with this.
Go for it.
Are you loving this?
I am. I hope she does speak tonight. This is utter chaos. Look, we had a very exciting convention. There's no question about it.
Where you also had utter chaos.
No,
so,
we didn't have chaos. No, but Rice Priebus did a great job by all accounts last week. We had a very logistically organized convention. He had a primetime speaking spot. Donald Trump thanked him for the hard work of the RNC afterwards. Day one, we didn't even get to day one, and the chair of the party stepped down because they rigged the system. I mean, this is utter chaos.
I'm not going to argue with you. This is chaos.
Right.
But day one, before anybody got to the podium, Paul Manafort was on TV smack-talking John Kasich, talking about how Chris Christie was fired up and mad that he didn't get the nod. So it's not really fair to say that last week was organized.
Oh, no, I'm not. Look,
Yeah.
we had an interesting and wild convention, but no one resigned, and I think that the divisions within the Democratic Party aren't going to be solved by one person stepping down. There are deep ideological differences in the party. The extreme far left and the far left are coming this week and clashing. The protests are here. The reports that your reporters put out yesterday, there were a bigger protest yesterday before this convention started than we're seeing all week in Cleveland.
It's fair to say, though, that Republicans also have ideological differences, which is why you'd see an absolute outsider in Donald Trump getting the nomination.
Sure, but I think we have less. It's a lot of the concerns on our side are rhetorical, the language that's being used, etc. But look at the results that we've got. Donald Trump got a 7-point bounce coming out of there. The first time since 2000 that any candidate's gotten a bounce coming out of a convention, it was for Donald Trump. 70-something% of the people, when asked on an online poll, said that they're more likely to vote for him now. Every piece of evidence suggests that despite people in the media and in the liberal elite saying that it didn't go well, all the evidence shows that it did.
I don't mean to make light of the seriousness of it, but Donald Trump, in response to the email leak, the Debbie Wasserman Schultz issue, put out a tweet that said, "The new joke in town is that Russia leaked the disastrous DNC emails, which should never have been written, stupid, because Putin likes me." Could one make the leap and say the Russians are somehow tied to Donald Trump's campaign?
But that's what the Clinton campaign said yesterday, that Russia's responsible. At some point, everything is somebody else's fault. At what point do they take responsibility? But the fact is that no one is saying that the Russians wrote the emails. They may have been leaked, and that's problematic. But the fact of the matter is, what the Democrats are really concerned about is that they got caught. That's the problem. They're all not trying to blame Russia, but the fact of the matter is they're not denying that they wrote these. They're not denying that they rigged the system. The bigger issue is if they could do this to political emails, imagine what could have happened with Hillary Clinton's secret server, where real national security, real classified information was put on those.
I want to talk about Mike Bloomberg for a moment. Mike Bloomberg, clearly an independent.
Well, no, he's clearly a liberal.
You know what? Okay. Fair.
Okay.
Mike Bloomberg, who isn't necessarily in one camp traditionally or another. I should rephrase. He's a guy who one could make the argument really knows Donald Trump. They're very successful New York businessmen. Does it surprise you that he went and sided with Hillary?
No. Michael Bloomberg has spent millions and millions and millions of dollars trying to take away people's Second Amendment rights. Hillary Clinton has agreed that that's what she wants to do. It makes ideological sense. They're both, look, Bloomberg, for the fact of the matter is he is a liberal. He doesn't hide it. There's nothing wrong with that. But he has spent millions and millions of dollars going after Second Amendment rights, and Hillary Clinton's made the same commitment, so there should be no shock here.
One would make the argument, though, that he does know Donald Trump well.
Okay. And he doesn't agree with it. You can like someone personally and disagree with their ideological stances on issues, and I think that's clearly true. And with Trump, it's very clear that he's going to support Second Amendment rights, and that's a passionate issue for Mayor Bloomberg. So I don't find this to be a shocker at all.
All right, stay with me. I want to bring in Andrea Mitchell. She joins me on the phone. She was inside the Florida delegation breakfast. Andrea, what did you hear? Because for us, we heard cheering, we heard jeering. It really seemed quite chaotic.
She was booed off the stage. I've never seen anything like this. The chair of the Democratic Party, a congresswoman from Florida, who has been enormously popular within her district and is facing re-election, was absolutely booed by protesting Bernie Sanders supporters right off of the stage. She had to break off her speech, trying to shout over them, finally gave up and was escorted out by security. Pretty unprecedented, and it is only a hint of what would happen if she shows up on the podium, scheduled to gavel it down at 4 o'clock today. Ed Rendell on MSNBC on Morning Joe earlier suggesting that she really should not even do that. And I think between now and 4 o'clock, there's going to have to be a lot. There has to be a lot of soul searching and a lot of political wisdom for people advising her, because I can't see how she can show up on that podium without multiplying the effect of what just happened downtown Philadelphia hotel. It was pretty amazing.
Given what just happened at that breakfast, what would the DNC's motivation be to continue to have her on that podium tonight at a night that's all about unity? And you've got people like Michelle Obama and Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren who do get big support from crowds or up there speaking. Why still keep her?
Well, they probably figured that they could have her gavel down because they gavel in around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not prime time. They figured that that would get it out of the way and still clear the decks for their prime time big name speakers. But I'm not sure that they can still do that because whatever happens at 4 o'clock is going to be put out there on social media and on live, of course, on MSNBC and recycled to all of the evening newscasts and prime time on MSNBC and picked up by the Republicans and tweeted out by Donald Trump. I mean, it just is not tenable on a day when they're trying to project unity.
The people in the room who were protesting, they were Bernie Sanders supporters. Given the vibe, the tone, do you think they're the type of people who are going to simply put their pencils down, or they're going to continue to fight this week? Because if they do, what are they really going to get for Bernie Sanders? Hillary Clinton's on the ticket. She's got the ball.
Bernie Sanders has to set the tone. Does he want to help put together a unified Democratic Party and go on and try to defeat the Republicans? Or does he want to keep his social revolution going? And can he try to do both at the same time? Look, I was out among the protesters, Stephanie, yesterday, and a lot of them, the most passionate, were saying, when I said, you know, Bernie Sanders says he now believes that Hillary Clinton is far better than Donald Trump, and he's willing to support her. Do you agree? And many of them said, well, I just disagree with Bernie because I think he's wrong and we really have to continue the fight. So the most passionate among them are not going to, but those who are delegates on the floor of the convention are more inclined, I think, to be part of the system. And if they hear a strong speech from Bernie Sanders as well as the keynote address that we're expecting from Elizabeth Warren tonight, they might be willing to go along. There's a lot of credentialing that goes into being on the floor of this convention, and so the street is different from the convention floor.
All right, Andrea, thank you, Sean. Before we go, these Bernie Sanders supporters seem more up for grabs than ever. What are you going to do to grab them?
Well, I think part of what we need to do is tap into the same frustration that the American people. They see this rigged system, and they say Donald Trump's out there speaking for the average guy. I may not agree with him with every issue, but he's not the conventional politician. He's fighting the system. He's going to make America great again. He's talking about trade. He's talking about business and fighting for what average working men and women are feeling out there. So I think we need to continue to talk about the economy. We need to talk about job creation, and we need to continue about being that change agent that Hillary Clinton is clearly not.
All right, Sean, thanks for